So we gave you the highlights last time of Belmont, going through the highlights, everything that Belmont has to offer, showing you guys all the in-betweens. Now it's time for the honest review. And this one is special because this is actually Kevin's town. He's the mayor over there. Like, you know what I'm saying? He lives there. It's a beautiful town. I've been there passing through, either going to Gastonia or just stopping by. But I've actually visited there with Kevin, walked around this town with him. But the question I got for you, Kevin, because I know you may be a little bit biased, but what made you choose Belmont instead of your neighboring town like a Mount Holly, or even going down south to like a Matthews? Like, what was you thinking when you and your wife chose Belmont?
Yeah, I think for us, why we choose Belmont is literally just the character of Belmont and just the quaintness. Like for all the small towns that we kind of looked at, and one of the reasons my wife, she works in Gastonia, so it's literally just a little bit further west. So you have pretty much Charlotte, Belmont, and then you're gonna have Gastonia. We did not want it to be too far removed from her work as well, so Belmont was a good fit. So location, but also because it is a place you really don't really have to leave as much if you don't want to, or if you don't have to travel for work, because you have good schools, you have good restaurants, actually really good restaurants. Not a bunch of them, but you have some good ones. And they just have a lot of stuff to offer, like movies in the park and stuff like that. It's just very cute, very relaxed, and just very charming. So, we just like that part. And downtown is very walkable.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. The few times I've been there, like I said, just passing through, or just stopping when I was with you. The only thing I can think of with the downtown, man, it's nice. It's definitely walkable, but it's not. It's not a whole lot going on down there. Like, would you agree outside of
No,
those kind of couple blocks, or would you be like, nah, someone who lives here, nah, it's a bunch all the time going on down here. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
no, absolutely not. I mean, if you're looking for a place that's popping, Belmont is not going to be it. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more relaxed, but you still have options to go out and get a beer, a cocktail, or go out to eat without having to drive into Charlotte, it can do that, right? It's just, I don't know, it just has a lot of charm to it, right? For like a suburb or a small town, it just feels nice, but you're not far removed from the city, so it's so easy to still get to Charlotte. Like you can pretty much get anywhere in Charlotte within the max, I would say 30 minutes. So it's the location is good.
That's cool. Yeah. Okay. So it makes sense. So not crazy nightlife, but you got something to do.
No,
Like it's just not a boring, small little southern town, right?
yeah, no, absolutely not. So
Yeah.
nightlife, heck no, no, forget it. X does not exist. Belmont is going to shut down probably 9 p.m.
Golly, that's
Like
early.
it's pretty much done. And you have like a couple of bars still open, but for the most part, once it gets later in the night, there's nothing to do here. Like zero. That's you want to go to Charlotte. Like I said, this is not a place that you want to live if you really want a lot of action and a lot of things to do. It's more so if you want to live a more relaxed lifestyle, I guess.
Okay. So outside of the note nightlife, right? Do you still think it's the best, closest suburb to Charlotte? Or do you think like something else could be comparable to Belmont in that regard? Because I know it's super up and coming. I mean, even the population over these last 5, 10 years or so has just been blown out the water. So what do you feel about that? Do you still feel like it's the next best suburb? Or do you feel like outside of Huntersville, obviously, what do you think about like Kannapolis, which is not too far, or even Matthews, Mount Holly? What do you think about that?
So is it the next best? So I do still think it's the best one,
Okay.
right? If you're looking for something that has some charm, if you're looking for something that has more to offer or is bigger, Hunters will be better, but it does not give you the charm. It gives you more like a true suburb, like with a whole bunch of like shopping centers and stuff like that. There's no character, right? If you want something that has more character, but still close to the city, Belmont is definitely the best, in my opinion, for sure. Now, Belmont already has been put on the map, right? Like Belmont just keeps growing and growing and growing, and there's a lot of people that want to come here. That's why inventory for real estate is pretty low as well. But Kannapolis is pretty much what Belmont was years ago. Like Kannapolis is now really developing, and Belmont is probably just years ahead of that. But it might also be a little bit closer to Charlotte, especially if you have to travel and go to the airport a lot. I think Belmont is just a little bit of a better location.
And that's one of the things I liked about it. Even your neighbor Mount Holly up above, you only 15 minutes right from the airport. So And it's almost like it is that mid stop between Charlotte and then going to further out west to Gastonia or something like that. If you have to travel, like I said, I mean, you're in a perfect spot between you and your wife. If she goes to Gastonia every day and you know you're traveling inside the city every day. So y'all in that perfect midpoint. And then, you know, when y'all flying back and forth, especially for people who are always on the go or you got that Delta airline miles, I do think Belmont is a great position for you guys to be when it comes to Belmont and the airport, right? Because you don't have to go way back inside the city, go through uptown, to come through all the traffic, to go back to the airport. Like you can just shoot straight from Belmont straight to the airport. Now, you did mention housing, right? And that's one of the things I did like about Belmont. Like you said, especially with the character, the charm, and things like that. I'm more of a after 2000s type of guy personally. Maybe like some of the 90s. I do like the 90s builds, right? But you have a lot of the housing could be in the 1940s, 50s, you know, you could find it in the 80s around that Belmont. And the average price point is what, like 400,000 there, or is it not even that high just yet?
No.
Yeah.
It is creeping up.
Okay,
because
okay.
It is, I would say, around the 400K mark.
Yeah,
You
okay,
can find
so
something a little bit less than that in like more mature, older neighborhoods with a smaller house. You can definitely find something less. But Belmont is becoming increasingly more desirable, especially also for builders. So that builders do a lot of new construction, like in infill lots or even subdivisions, but a lot of builders are looking for infill lots and start building, and those homes will become like a $500,000 plus, easily. Especially the closer you get to like downtown, they can get pretty pricey. So it's not uncommon for builders to build a really nice house that's close to the downtown Belmont area, and you end up spending over $1 million. That
wow.
definitely feasible. It happens, and they sell.
And that's a quick climb, man. From a few years ago, it was what, 200 and some change. So like
That's
that's,
what I'm
I
saying.
mean,
This town is just becoming like so increasingly popular that yeah, it's probably in Gaston County. It's probably the best town in Gaston County.
that's what's up. Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I was going to ask you that, right? Because you already talked about real estate, you know, we already had to dive into it. But with the 400 median, right? With the 400 median, how long do you think, if someone was watching this video, or those, you know, of everybody who's watching this video right now, how long do you think before it turns into like that Charlotte $500,000, Dilworth 700,000, Madison Park $900,000 price range? Do you think we got 5 years maybe? Like, you know, do we have 7 years, 10 years? Like, what do you think? Do we have 2 years? Like, what's your thoughts right there as somebody who's seeing it every day, outside of just the numbers that I'm looking at?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's a lot that probably goes into it, right? It depends on where your house is in Belmont, right? That literally determines, like, let's say, if you in your neighborhood, you all of a sudden see builders come in, tear homes down, or fix and flippers are coming in, and they're building these nice homes that are around 500, 600, 700, $800,000. Obviously, your value is going to get impacted. If you live in a neighborhood where it doesn't happen as much, then obviously, you know, you have less comparables to justify the price. But overall, I think within the next 5 years or so within that, I think that, you know, you could probably creep your price up from 400 to 500. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, so don't hold me to it. I don't know what the economy is going to do. That's just my opinion, just because of what's going on in Belmont.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. I can see that. All right. Let's flip gears a little bit. So we already discussed. You know, we 25 on a good day, maybe 20 from uptown, right? 15 on a good day from the airport. Location is nice, right? You're just outside of Charlotte's west, guys. So if you guys are looking at the map of Charlotte, you're just outside of that 485 loop, right? So you're that in between. You can get bounce in and out the city. So if you guys do want that quiet home life, but do want to bounce in the city, you're a weekend or you're a huge sport fanatic. That means you want to go to Panthers, you want to go to the Hornets game and things like that. You can get inside the city, guys. We're not saying you can't get inside the city. We're not saying you're super isolated out there. You have that option, as Kevin was talking about earlier. So when it comes to that, right? Now I know we've been together a bunch. And every time you dread the commute, sometimes from going from Charlotte back home, right? And sometimes you call me, man, I'm 45 away. dag. Right? So what are the best times, right? If we was coming inside the city, in and out the city from Belmont, what are some of the best times to leave? What are some of the best times to avoid? And can you justify the living in Belmont if you work inside of Charlotte on a daily basis? Ooh, that's
So
a
this
thinker.
is
That's a thinker.
strictly based off my own opinion. Okay, leaving Belmont and going into the city is not terrible. You have a little bit of hiccups or so, depending on where obviously you can find a little bit more once you get into the city, right? But actually getting to the city limits from Belmont in the mornings, not terrible. But, and this is a huge but, the coming back part is a pain in the rear. Like literally, once it starts being like 4 p.m. ish or so, sometimes even before then, and you kind of hit that spot where I-85 meets 485, that loop, and where they merge and people get onto I-85, this becomes a nightmare. And literally, if you're in the city, so it happened to me yesterday. I was probably in East Charlotte, and usually the commute would take me probably like 35 minutes. It took me an hour. And that's literally on average. Like around that time, like the traffic time around 5, it would take me about an hour. So your commute time almost doubles. And
That's
it
crazy.
doesn't matter which route you really take, because you can take I-85 and sometimes even over an hour, or you can take Wilkinson because there's only 2 ways in and out. Yeah, that sucks. So if you do commute a lot, especially during those times, um, honestly, I would really think about if Belmont might be the right spot, because commuting, in my opinion, sucks, especially if you have to do traffic. Like me and my wife talked about actually not living in Belmont anymore just because of the fact. She doesn't have to deal with it, but I have to, and yeah, it sucks. I don't like it, because sometimes I literally stay in the city longer just so I don't have to deal with it, and I'll sometimes get home around the same time. So
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. When I'm out, I'm out. I don't care. I mean, I got the gym bag with me. I got an extra meal with me. Bottles of
yeah,
water filled. When I'm out of the house, I'm out of the house. I can attest. I can attest, man. I don't care if even running around, even especially running around, especially running around. Or
especially.
if my mom lives up north now, so it's like, do I want to take the trip off 77 at this
No,
time? No,
I
I
think
don't
that one
think
is even
so, man.
worse.
So yeah, I can agree with that, man. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough. So, but if they're comfortable commuting, you would still recommend it as a town itself and to live itself, right? Or a hybrid worker. You know, everybody digital nomads these days. So if you hybrid, you only go in once or twice. You like, hey, yeah, Belmont still could be a great place for you, type thing.
I think Belmont's a great place to be.
All right.
Yeah, if you don't have to commute in and out, or you're okay with commuting, I think this is a great place to consider. If you don't want to necessarily live within Charlotte or whatever, or save a little bit on the cost of inventory or housing, I should say, then yeah, absolutely, definitely consider and check it out, and see what you like. So, and see if it's maybe your cup of tea, I guess I'm gonna call it. But I think it's the best suburb around Charlotte,
All right.
personally.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Now, one of the things I did like when we were there, we was downtown. We walked around for a little bit. I love the park in downtown, man. I love the park in downtown. Like that was nice, man. We spent some time. We shot a couple of videos. We got some business work done. But I love that park there, and it seems like that's one of either the most widely used park. I said down there to the left of there, but it seems like it's one of the widely used park. Is there a ton of green spaces? I know they're building up crazy, man. Every road we turned down was either you had a ranch, a cape, and then a brand new build right there, right? So I know they're tearing down, building up a bunch. But what about green spaces? As far as the attractiveness of it. People want that fresh air. People want to go walking, biking, hiking, all that good stuff. Outside that park downtown, is it more? Is it less? Is it something that's not really common too much of Belmont? What's your thoughts on that?
I think there's a good amount of green spaces. You also have Rocky Branch trails or park, where you have mountain bike trails. You can walk there. So I think you have a good amount for the size, because Belmont is not big,
Yeah,
right? It's fairly small.
right.
So yeah, I think you have a lot of greenery here, and it makes you feel like you're actually not in a city. But even though you're very close, you feel like you're really not in a city, like you live in a small town. So yeah, as far as the green spaces and that park downtown, the location is great because you're downtown, and that they offer like, shoot, movies in the park. I think I mentioned that, and like other things. They have like festivals down there, so they always kind of doing something, which keeps it nice.
All right, Belmont doesn't have your Freedom Parks or your Myers Parks, your Madison Parks, right? You got your more smaller parks. You talked about the movies in the park or that downtown area. But what about the Catawba River, right? Is that something that's mainly attractive? Do a lot of people around the neighborhood use that, kayaking, boats, things like that? Or is it something that's more of like a scenery type of thing? Do you find, is it one or the other? Obviously, I've never used it, so I'm curious on your perspective on that one.
No, the guitar definitely gets used. So especially in the summertime when it gets hot, you definitely see a lot of people go boating, paddle boarding, whatever it might be. Right? It gets used. So there's like boat ramps. There's one right off of Wilkinsing. There's a boat ramp right by that bridge, and you can just let your boat in and just go out and go fish and do whatever, or So yeah, a lot of people actually use it, and there's also like subdivisions along that river where you can have like literally like a property right on the water, but that also gets pretty pricey. As soon as you touch water with a property, your price shoots to the roof. But yeah, it's not just a scenery thing. You can actually use the river.
That makes sense too. That makes sense. So, all right, this is cool. This is a good question. Do you think people, let's say like a midway point, so maybe even a Huntersville, right? Maybe even a Huntersville, or if you live in West Charlotte, would you take, if you was a boat guy? I know, we may not be water people, but if it's someone that's, a boater, or they on the water all summer long, would you rather go to the river, or would you always go up to Lake Norman because there, you got apps on taps up there, you got a bunch of bars, a little bit more of a bougie, more high scale area, or would you go to just the river to where you are and then kind of take the scenic route up? Like, right, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that
Yeah,
a
I know what you're
good
saying.
comparison almost? Because Lake Norman is so popular, like, you know what I'm saying? But you're saying the river is popular as well. So if you was to advise someone, or just give them the kind of pros and cons to each one, what would you choose if you had an option?
I mean, if you have options,
Hmm.
depending on the way you live, I would always tell go to Lake Norman or Lake Wiley first because you have more space, right?
Yep.
You have a lot more things and more access.
Yep.
But if you're close to the guitar or you live on a guitar river, yeah, use it absolutely. If for easy access,
Yeah.
do it. I mean, you can literally take the boat and go down to Lake Wiley. I mean, they connect,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's what's up. Okay.
So,
Yeah. That makes sense. That
but
makes sense. That
I
makes
would
sense.
take the lake all day if you could. If you would be like, I don't know which one, they're both about the same distance, or yeah, lake all day.
Yeah, and it's probably not as crowded. I mean, Lake Norman is massive. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it could be not as crowded, especially trying to undock the boat and all that stuff once you get there. So
True.
I can see that. That makes sense.
True.
That makes sense. So let's get into some restaurants real quick. I
Cool.
ate at that gyro place. Super good. I mean, service was amazing, man. I had
Or the
my
pita wheel,
sandwich in.
I think it's called.
Say that again.
I think pita wheel.
Yeah, Peter Will. Yeah, it was good. I forgot what it was. I ain't gonna lie. It was good though. And I had,
Yeah.
I always gotta get the sweet potato fries, drizzle of honey on it. It was my cheat day, Kev. I apologize.
That's all good, man. Enjoy.
It was
Gotta live a
good though.
little.
What's some of your favorite restaurants down there? Outside of what's some of your favorite restaurants around the Belmont area that you think, or you eat at all the time? It don't have to be downtown, but even around your neighborhood.
So my favorite restaurants is String Bean is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you, I like String Bean, but only because of that burger. And that burger is probably one of the best burgers I ever had. Like they use that ground up bacon with their ground beef and infuse it, and then they cook it together. It's just a really really good burger, in my opinion. So if you're Belmont, you like burgers, definitely worth checking out. For brunch, Honeycomb is really good. I really like Honeycomb. Nellie's, the Southern Kitchen, like it's actually owned by the Jonas Brothers. It's famous. It's good. Their Southern cooking, so their greens are good. Their mac and cheese are good.
It's soul food.
It's soul food. It's Southern
Okay.
food. Yeah.
Is it
So
real
they're
soul
good.
food,
And I think
Kev?
that their biscuits are actually pretty good too. And I usually don't like biscuits that much, especially sometimes biscuits can be a little bit dry, right? But theirs are pretty good. But their greens are fire, and their mac and cheese are fire. So yeah.
All right, I see you avoided my question there though.
What?
I said, is it real soul food?
It's Southern cuisine.
All right, there we go.
It's Southern cuisine.
I understand, man. I understand. So, schooling, though. Schooling in Belmont is pretty good. So, if you guys were to move there, you're probably looking at South Point High School, which is on bestschools.com. You got about an 82 out of 100, which is not too bad. The teacher ratio, depending on what you guys like and what you don't like, we got about an 18 to 1. If you guys want something a little bit smaller, I always recommend, your babies are your babies. Those are your treasures. So make sure, you always do your due diligence. Even though we do quote schools off here, there are probably other schools around, Montessori, Catholic, private, all that good stuff. So depending on who you are, I'm just giving you guys the public school. South Point High School is where you're going to go. 18 to 1 to me is not too bad. I think the high school I went to was like 23 to 1, 25 to 1. So, I mean, it's a pretty good high school down there. No real complaints from the people that I talked to. And just doing my research online about it. Again, I don't have any kids that go there, so that's all I can give you about that. Now, with the small town feel, do you feel like the town backs up the high school? Ball games, football games, baseball, basketball, Kev? Like, do you hear a lot about, because a lot of people look for that community feel, especially when it involves the high school, right? Do you feel like the whole town backs up the high school when it comes to sporting events? That's probably why y'all close at 9:30 at night, which is crazy to me. Is that something what it is, or people just outside all enjoying each other? What's your thoughts on that in your hometown there?
I do think that they support the schools and the local events. So for sure. Now, what was it? I'm trying to see. What was the question?
Do you feel like the community backs up the high school? In that, like, are they shutting the city down to go watch a Friday night football game type of thing?
Gotcha. Yeah. So, the short answer, yeah, they do support it, but they won't. I have not seen them shut down the entire town to watch like a ball game or anything like that.
Okay.
But yes, they. I mean, are supportive. It's a small place, small town, so you see a lot of, I guess a lot of support, like with signs, because like there's like a Harris Teeter right across the high school, and you sometimes see signs like on the intersections and stuff. But yeah, they're not going to shut the whole thing down. And I personally haven't been to a ball game. I'm not a big high school sports fan. Hopefully, I'm not going to get lynched for that. More college or professional, but each his own.
All right, understood. All right, so what about the taxes? Aren't taxes in Gastonia a little bit higher than Mecklenburg?
Yeah, they are a little bit higher, but I don't know what the rate is right now.
Okay. We talked about a lot, man. We talked about real estate, which you can get, 400,000, nice area. Definitely a mix of that family area, community feel. I mean, you got, or, someone who's single. I mean, you can find a plethora of everything out there, especially when it comes to either new builds, a ranch, Cape, all types of stuff, right? Who do you think Belmont is going to be for, right? Because you and your wife moved there as a young couple, right? Planning a family, things like that. Do you think it's suitable just for families, just for couples? And if I'm a single guy, which I'm not, I'm moving there. I'm coming through. Is it something? Is the dating scene pretty cool there? Like, what do you think about who is Charlotte? Who is Belmont going to be really for in that sense that you feel comfortable answering that question there?
So I think Belmont can be for pretty much anybody. But if you really wanted to target somebody or people that really like it, somebody that's looking for more of a quieter life, it's probably going to be people who are maybe in their 30s or so, maybe married or, or about to start a family, have a family, retired. I think those are the people who like it a little bit more. They want a little bit of a slower pace. I mean, living in the South, there's not really a lot of hustle and bustle, which, I mean, Charlotte, it can, but it's not like a New York City kind of, hustle mentality. But Belmont just takes it another step back where you really have just that small town relaxation kind of feel. So if you're looking for that, then Belmont is for you.
So you definitely, outside of downtown, you're going to need a car, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, you're 100% going to need a car in Belmont, for sure. I mean, yeah.
You're going to need a car in Charlotte, period.
You do, for sure. Yeah, public transportation is no good here.
Yeah. I understand. All right, so I know I asked you a bunch of questions this time. I just had to, man. That's your town right there, so I don't want to overtalk you on where you're living,
Yeah, so, I mean, this is pretty much Belmont just giving you my honest opinion of living here now for a little while. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to come. A great place to just relax, raise a family. And again, if you have any other questions or you're looking to move here to good old Belmont, Devontae and I would love to be part of your journey. So feel free to shoot us an email, give us a call, however we can support. We're here for you. Until next time.